Hello students, today we are going to be looking at distinguishing differences between graphs and equations of linear, exponential, absolute value, and quadratic functions. Don't forget to take notes and do the survey at the end. So again, the four different types of functions that we have looked at so far are linear, exponential, quadratic, absolute value. We've been working a lot with quadratic equations and absolute value equations, and then we're just going to do a review to remind ourselves of linear and exponential because we haven't seen those in a while. But we are going to be able to need to distinguish the difference between all four of these in the equations and the graphs. So pay attention. Alright, the linear function family. The linear function family has an equation of f of x equals mx plus b, or y equals mx plus b. So the x is just being multiplied by the m, which is the slope. The graph looks something like this. It's just a straight line. You can have a positive or a negative line. If you have a positive line, it goes this way, so the ones on the bottom are all positive, and that means that your slope is also positive, so that m value. So the number right after x, we go back for a second, this 2 would be positive, this 3/4 is positive, and the x is positive, which makes all the lines positive. If your line is negative, which is the graphs at the top, then your m is also negative. So the number right after y equals is a negative number. The exponential function family is f of x, or y, equals a times b to the x plus c, where x is an exponent. This is the only function family where you will see x as an exponent. So exponential, x as an exponent, if you can remember that. The graphs look something like this. They're sort of a half of a U shape, or a curved line, as we have said before. Instead of positive and negative on these, you have growth or decay. So if you have the right side of the U, so the ones at the bottom, then it is called a growth. In other words, a positive, but with exponential we use the word growth. And that means your b value, so the b value is the number with x, is greater than 1. So again, if we look back at these, the number with b, 2 is greater than 1, 2 is greater than 1, and 4 is greater than 1, which makes all of these graphs on the bottom a growth. And then if you have the left side of the u, which is the top equations up here, then the b value is between 0 and 1, which means it's a decay. That would be a negative in the linear world, but with exponential we call it a decay. So again, b is between 0 and 1. So 1/2 is between 0 and 1, 1/4 is between 0 and 1, and 1/3 is between 0 and 1. Now just because it's a fraction does not mean it's between 0 and 1, so don't get that confused. You can't always make that assumption. You just need to pay attention. Is the number between 0 and 1 or greater than 0 and 1? Alright, quadratic function family, which again we've been looking at it a lot, is the ax squared plus bx plus c. Quadratic equations have the u, or the upside down u shape. Just like with linear and exponential, we can have positive and negative quadratic equations. So if you have the u shape and a is positive, then it's a positive graph. So all these ones on the bottom you can see are all the u shapes, and they're all positive graphs. The 2 is positive, the 2 is positive, and the 1 in front of the x squared is positive. So there's no negatives in front of the x squared, which is our a value. If the graph is a negative, it's an upside down u shape, and the a is negative. So on this one, the 2 is negative. On this one, the x squared, or the 1, is negative. And on this one, the 3 is negative. So if your first number is negative, it's negative. If your first number is positive, it's positive, just like in linear. Our last function family is the absolute value function family, which we just looked at earlier this week. F of x equals a times x minus h, absolute value of x minus h, plus k. And like you saw the other day, these are all v shapes, or upside down v shapes. So again, we can have a positive or a negative. So again, just like with quadratic equations and linear equations, that a value, or that first number past the equal sign, If it's a positive, then it's a positive graph. So if it makes a V shape and there's no negative in front, then it's a positive. And then if it's an upside down V and there is a negative out in front, then it's a negative. Alright, so when you come in tomorrow, please make sure you know the difference between each of the graphs and each of the equations. This will be very, very beneficial to you. If you need to go back and take a look again, go right ahead so you know the difference between all of these. Make sure your notes are correct too, because those will help you. Alright, so again, make sure all your notes are filled out and they're correct. Make sure you've drawn the graphs in the correct spots and written the correct equations. Take the survey on the website, make sure you click submit. If it doesn't work, please try again later. If you have any questions, bring them to class tomorrow and we will go over them. If you can't see the survey questions on your phone, here they are.